tío?
Parecía fácil.
Pon mi nombre al lado.
Pero siempre está así como trick questions.
Va a notar mi nombre.
Preguntar como sobre el que es en el prólogo que Alicia y
No puede, tiene que ver su cosa.
tiene como una semana de cosas.
Ladies and gentlemen, not much now. Happy Friday, guys. You excited it's Friday?
Yes.
Guys, thank you, John, for reminding me. Anybody who has a cell phone who might have it on vibrate, make sure it's off and in your backpack. Okay, you don't want to have it in your desk and sneak using it because you know I'm going to find out, and it's a horrible way to end the week. Ladies and gentlemen, remember Bora's birthday just passed, and she's going to celebrate it tonight, so let's clap it up for Bora again. And she just told me her plans, but would you share with the class what you're doing to celebrate?
I'm gonna watch some movies.
Right, so the special, is it a girls' night out or are guys invited? Just girls' night? Something very special on girls' night, right girls? Very special. Guys, you'll never know how it feels. Alright guys, I am coming around to check your homework. Can someone tell me what the homework was?
Problem set number 38 and the sheet.
The worksheet. So those are the two things you should have out on your desk ready for me. Guys, when I come to your desk, be prepared. Don't make me wait and waste time. I need some volunteers to pass some papers out. Do I have any volunteers? Thanks, Carlota and Tati. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to receive your similarity in 2 and 3 dimensions. Excuse me. You're going to receive your similarity in 2 and 3 dimensions lab back. When you do, you'll notice there are 2 numbers at the top. One is the homework credit I'm giving you because the first few pages you did from homework. The second one is the classroom credit I'm giving you. They're both out of 10 points. So if you got 2 10s, that means you got a perfect score. If you got anything less than 2 10s, then you got something less than a perfect score. Okay? So the ladies are passing them out to you. In the meantime, if you have any questions, they go up on the board. If you sign your name up, please come show your work by the time you're done checking homework. Okay, guys, I need your homework facing me, please, to expedite the process. Thank you.
So, I'm going to write the problem.
Okay.
So if I can't like simplify it anymore, does that mean that's the skill?
If you can, but in that case, you could have. Maybe find someone, sit somewhere where you can talk to someone else about it. I know it's really hard to turn it into, keep it as a fraction, but try to keep it as a fraction. Simplifying the fraction until it can't simplify anymore.
I'm going to. This one makes me and Nicole try figuring it out.
You guys, did you want to have the board now?
So can we put it on the worksheet?
Yeah, of course. Guys, worksheet problems are also welcome on the board. That's part of your homework. Nicole, no problem, sir? Can you bring it, please?
No, 3,250.
Oh, okay. I got it wrong.
¿Cuánto se puede poner? ¿Cuánto se puede poner?
You can only work. Sí, debería ser una presentation basada en
Así, 13.01. No sé si. Sí, 13.01.
So maybe ask around.
Oye, se pueden 4.
Guys, I really like that I'm hearing that some of you are asking a neighbor for clarification on some of the homework problems. That's exactly what this time is used for. If you just find yourself sitting there and talking about what you're doing this weekend, you are wasting our class time.
Spread is more like dulce,
Carlos. Carlitos. Carlos. ¿Por qué nunca oyes? Nunca oyes. ¿Entendiste la tercera de...?
But I think first she did this, and then she got like the other
Porque
side.
solamente era como 3 points, yo fue como, ok, it was look X plus 3. Ese era el answer.
Are you asking someone? Are you asking?
Aquí me terminé el proyecto, como tengo ahora, yo sé que son 6, 7 de...
Disha, I need you.
Yo tengo un 92. Tendría un como 96.
Yeah, it's recording.
En álgebra,
Why were you on the ground?
So no worksheet to do, you just read.
Yeah, a little bit.
Acá donde yo nunca saqué mi casa de equipo.
All right, guys, let's check our answers.
¿Ah? Nosotros por tus termitas, como ganas de tarea, porque no he hecho nada. Es como de así, media hora sin hacer nada. Acaso cuando voy a jugar digo algo, porque es tarea, ya.
¿Eres muy procrastinator?
No, es que practico por toda la
Ladies and gentlemen.
acá sentado así.
Ladies and gentlemen, right now, whether or not you are writing problems up on the board or whatever you're doing, I'd like you to stop and I'd like you to check your answers. I'm showing you all the answers from the similar solids worksheet. You had your own answers for the extension problem. So please check out numbers 1 and 2. I've showed my work so you can see exactly what I'm expecting to see on your paper. And you'll see the boxed answers. So please raise your hand when you're done checking through number 2 so I can move on. Thank you. Great, thank you. Let's move on. Number 3 and 4. So the idea was if you turn it into a decimal, you should not have done that. You want to keep the scale factor as a fraction. Now, I know these are really big numbers. You can reduce these fractions on your calculator. So if the numbers are super big, you want to know how to reduce the fraction on the calculator? You take out your calculator. Okay, so if you guys go ahead and plug in the fraction that we have, 396 over 275. So if you do 396 divided by 275, and if you press enter, you're going to get 1.44. Does everyone get that?
Yeah.
Okay, now if you want to turn that back into a fraction, then if you go to math, Everybody press math, it's right under alpha, under the green button. And then you'll notice the first thing says fraction. Press enter, and you'll see the simplified fraction. That doesn't mean become lazy and ooh! Open up your eyes to a whole new world. That doesn't mean become lazy and forget how to simplify fractions. Because in Algebra 2, you will be taking tests where you're not allowed to use calculators because they're going to test you if you still know how to do that. But in case you get numbers that are crazy like this, then again, we can press, let's clear out of here. I can't read what is on this at all. Okay, so we can press math, go to fraction, enter, and it simplifies it. And now when you see 36 over 25, what's the square root of 36? 6. What's the square root of 25? Okay, so no more excuses, yeah? Alright guys, moving on. Check your scale factors. Did you check them? Guys, why did I cube root this? Because it's volume. Okay, be careful, that was volume. Alright guys, check number 5, please.
Porque pusieron ese todo This type of question.
Yeah.
What if you got the answer like the other side, you put 80 over 100?
Yeah, then that's fine. So I went from big to small. If you went from, actually in this particular problem, you had to have gone in this order because it says, find the scale factor of the figure on the left to the figure on the right. So you're supposed to start here, go to here. If it doesn't mention that, then yours would have also been fine. You're just going from small to big. Okay, so pay really close attention to the directions because sometimes it does specify. All right, let's move on. Number 6, here it is.
¿Qué crack? Eso pasa en casa. Pero no quiero hacer campo de square. ¿Te acuerdas que esa será esa?
No. No, we're here. This is how many times bigger than this. This from here to here is 1/3 of this. The other way. Alright guys, raise your hand if you're done checking number 6. Up there, are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Then are you done checking number 6? Then your hand should be raised. Alright, let's move on. Okay guys, number 7. Number 7, we're going to get it explained to us, but notice the only information I had that I could set up a ratio was about the areas, the surface areas. So is that R squared, R cubed? R squared. So first I realized since it's area, R squared is equal to that. To get R, I take the square root of both sides. So Luca's going to explain that in more detail, but take a look and you can see how we can get 3,250 kilometers cubed. Don't forget your units, guys. Done? Done? Okay. And last one, number 8. Please check your work. Guys, we're going to have some presentations starting on the left side. Nicole, if you come on up. Okay, come finish showing your work. Actually, Nicole, since Disha's going to continue working, we'll have you present later because I don't want her blocking you. So Luca, if you would start for us, please.
Okay, so here they tell you that the surface area of the surface area of the first figure of solid 1 is 1,088 kilometers squared, and the second one is 425 kilometers squared. And the volume of solid 1 is 13,312 kilometers cubed, and they don't give you the value for the second solid, so that's what you have to figure out. So you take the square root of 1,088 and divide it by the square root of 425 to get the the ratio, the first ratio that you have to use,
And can you tell us, how did you know you were supposed to take the square root?
because it was square.
Okay, so that's the surface area of the surface area, that's our r squared. So when he wants the r, he's taking the square root of both sides, or, yeah, both sides. Continue.
And when you divide that, you get 1.6, which is the same as 8 over 5. And so you're finding the volume, which is cubed. So you have to cube 8 and cube 5. And you get 512 over 125. And that equals the value you already have for the volume over the one you're trying to figure out. And then, yeah, you cross multiply and you get 512 equals 1,664,000. Then you divide both sides by 512 to leave the x alone. And you get that the volume is 3,250 kilometers cubed. I forgot to.
That's fine, very nice. Jorma has a question and then done.
Yes, not all the process, but if it is something else like the volume of 13,312 kilometers cubed, it's huge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to understand the thing.
Okay, that's good. Danya, question?
No, I wasn't stating, I was asking, because I was trying to get
Yeah.
How do you like turn 1.6 into 8 over 5?
You like do it, I did it on Google, but
Okay, quick lesson on converting fractions, decimals back into fractions. But now that I showed you how to simplify that using your calculator, you won't have that problem, right? I did it on Google. That was
Are you
great.
supposed to be like 1 and
Yes, so 1.6 is the same thing as 1 and what? 6/10. How do you turn that into a fraction? 1 times
10 plus
plus
6.
6 is?
16 over 10.
And reduces down to?
8 over 5.
Alright. Any other questions? Let's clap it up for Luca. Nice job. Okay, now we're transitioning into the problem set. So refocus the problem set. Disha's going to explain to us number 1.
Okay, so number 1, they tell you that the area of a smaller figure is 9 units squared, and this is one of the side, this is the side lengths, and then, so since it's squared, you get the square root of it to get the real area, and to get the side of it, because you equal the sides, and I got 3, because you square root 9, you get 3, and you need to make a system of equations. So in the second one, it says the area of the larger figure is 9 plus the area that it has, so 9 plus 135, that gives you 144 units squared, that would be the area, and you need to transform that into side length, so you get the square root of 144, which is 12.
Could you draw a square so we can visualize it? Just draw a square. And so she's telling us if the area is 144, and you know, what do you know about the sides of a square? They're all the same. So if the area is 144, and we know to find the area of a square, we do side times side, then the sides have to be 12. That's why she's taking the square root. All right, continue.
And so then the side length would be 12, like one side, and you equal them to each other, you make a system of equations, and then I use elimination. So first I multiply the first one by 5, so that I can get 5y to be equal. I eliminate by adding, and I get 27x equals 27, that means x would equal 1. I substitute this back into up here, and I get y equals -1.
Very nice. Let's give
Guys
her a
are
round of
teachers.
Disha for president. All right, guys. Any questions on systems of equations for Disha? Yes, Luca.
Does it matter into what equation you plug it in?
No. If you plugged into the first equation, you should also get the exact same answer. Okay, good question. All right, Nicole.
Okay, so that's my problem. Should I read it out or just?
Please.
A third square cube has an area 4 times the area of the smallest square with sides of c squared minus c units. Find c. So then we were told before, like in that problem, that the smallest area was 9. So then it says 4 times the smallest, so it's 9 times 4, which is a square root of 36. And as she said, it can't be, area is base times height, so it just square root of 36, which is 6. And then it gives us this information, which is the value for one side. And we know that the side is 6, so we're gonna equal it to 6. And then you have to make this equation equal to 0. So then we can, how's this called?
How's that called, guys? Factor. We have a quadratic, so we have to factor.
So then we factor this out, and then we get c minus 3, then c plus 2. And then you put c minus 3 is equal to 0, and then c plus 2 is equal to 0, and c is equal to 3, and c is equal to 2. And that's the solution for c.
Excellent. Any questions for Nicole? Good job. Give her a round of applause. Okie doke, guys. Take a look at your solids worksheet, and if there are any problems that you got wrong, make sure you get the correct answer down so you can rework it out. I'll give you a big hint. You're definitely going to see these kinds of problems on your next test. Hint, hint. When's your next test?
15.
April 15th. Is
Well,
that
2
next
weeks.
week?
Was that next week?
No.
1 day.
The following week, the week after next. So be prepared. By the way, when does that dilation project due? That's next week. What day of next week is it due?
Thursday.
Thursday. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday again, and then Thursday that project is due. How many of you are already done the project? All right, clap it up for the overachievers. How many of you have not even started? Clap it up for the procrastinators. All right. Everybody got all the answers? We're good? Excellent. Okay, guys. You have a 1-minute stretch break. If you need to get a drink of water, this is your chance before we move on to our amazing lab today. So, quick break. Can you talk to me about anything in particular? Now's your chance.
Llevar un proyecto por día la próxima semana. Tenía 2 proyectos por día.
What's going on? Worksheet.
Digo, lo mejor, mi iPhone lo puse al día que no tengo que entregar. Tiene el día, entonces puede llegar y presentar así que perdí la hora minutos, no, lo puse a las 3:10. Que me quiero ir.
Yes.
De que tuviste que quitarte cuando había que salir perfecto y te estabas muriendo.
Y después quedó nice. I like the shade.
I'm sorry.
Very nice.
Is that like
It's, well, let's see how you color it in. Gotta make it as realistic as possible. Last call for water.
Yo el iPhone, pero no lo voy a hacer el cuarto. Tengo un proyecto todos los días y tenía 2 proyectos por ahí.
Tomé 2 pruebas hoy día para eso. Para el homework.
El lideraste de todo.
Con lipstick o algo. No,
Yo tuve la
Justin Bieber.
Carlos, miércoles prueba de generador. Jueves, la presentación y la prueba de... Carlos, semana. Monólogo. Chicas.
Barbie, what is
¿Quién se la sabe?
No se la sabe. No se la sabe.
Thank you.
this, or maybe not hopefully, but possibly, this reminds some of you of your childhood. Who is reminded of their childhood when they see these beautiful dolls? Okay. So, you know what, guys, play with Barbies too. I have some Ken dolls. Maybe that'll bring back some memories, or maybe you played with the girls, I don't know. Look at this house right here, sagging, so stylish. All right, so he's double jointed, and without a hand. So let's see, raise your hands again. Raise your hand if you ever owned or played with Barbies growing up. Let's see who you are.
I still own mine.
Still have them? Okay. They're not cheap either. They're not cheap. And how many of you thought growing up that Barbie was so beautiful? She's so beautiful. Did you like braiding her hair and doing things with her hair? You ripped her head off. And did you guys change her clothes?
Yeah.
You put on like pretty ball gowns and like swimwear Barbie, surfing Barbie, the whole bit?
Yeah.
Hi.
Just say Claudia for 1 second.
Claudia, go ahead. So Barbie brings back a lot of memories for some of us, times that we play with her. And did anyone ever want to look like Barbie growing up? You're like, ooh, Barbie's so pretty, I wish I could look like her. Felt that way? Barbie. Barbie? Okay. Now, today what we're going to do is we're going to actually look at Barbie with a little bit more of a critical eye. Okay, as you're getting a little older, the fantasy comes to a little bit more to reality, and we want to see, is Barbie realistic? And kind of see what are some of the implications of the way that she's been designed. So you guys are going to go through a lab, and if I can get a volunteer to read the first intro paragraph. Nice and loud, Nicole, go ahead.
You will determine if Barbie's measurements are realistic by calculating what she would look like if she were a human being as tall as you. You will then compare her measurements to your measurements, as well as the average woman's measurements. Show all your work and write in all measurements for full credit.
Okay. So step one, you're going to be measuring Barbie in centimeters. You're going to measure her different body parts, and I want to just recap with you in case you're a little unfamiliar with how exactly to measure these parts. I'm going to review them with you right now. So her height, when you're measuring her height, I'd like you to please measure from the tip of her toe to the top of her head. Okay, so some of you might ask me, should you go from the heel or the toe? You're going from the tip of the toe to the top of her head, okay? When it asks about the waist, guys, the circumference of the waist is technically the most narrow part on your body, so on your abdomen area. So you're looking for the most narrow part right there around her stomach area, okay? That's the waist. All right, it's not down here, it's not up here, it's right here where it kind of curves in the most. When you're finding the circumference of the bust is the chest area, you are going around the most protruding section of that area, okay? So that would be the bust, all the way behind, all the way in front of the most protruding section. The circumference of her hips. The hips are the widest section down here, okay? So when you're looking at someone's hips, it's going kind of like at the peak of the butt and coming around, okay, where the hips are. The hips are not necessarily where the belly button is or anything else, so you're measuring around the buttocks. And for the length of the legs, you're going to go from basically the tip of the leg to the tip of the foot, okay? The top of the leg to the end of the toe, and for the arms, the top of the shoulder to the tip of the fingers, okay? So that's the explanation of the different body parts. Question?
Since the arm is bent, should we like go like this or go?
So since the arm is bent, you're gonna have flexible measuring tape so you can make sure it accounts for the fact that it's bent. Then after you're done measuring Barbie's measurements, and your group's only gonna have one Barbie to share, so go ahead and rotate so that each person gets a chance and help each other out to measure the parts. Step 2, assuming Barbie's human height is 5'9", okay, these are based on American measurements, this is equal to 175.25 centimeters, okay? We're gonna do everything in centimeters. Use the height you just measured to calculate Barbie's measurements if she were a human. So you're taking Barbie's real measurements in her actual form, And then you're going to be using the